Little unorthodox, but start thinking about ways to become more design oriented, more inventive, innovative, creative. If you're interested in an MBA perspective, it might be worthwhile to develop yourself a little bit from a creative side. I know it's unorthodox, but we're going to talk about it here. Welcome, colleagues. George Sloan. This is the MBA Accelerator channel. Uh, Came up with a little unorthodox idea, and I'll tell you the inspiration behind it in a second. But before I do that, please subscribe to the channel. This is the MBA Accelerator channel. Give us a like and a share. Don't keep us a secret. Or you go and want a little more general, subscribe to the MBA, the My Ford University channel. This MBA Accelerator channel is a sub-channel of that, but it's more dedicated towards the MBA-centric material. Um, One of the things that is wrong with the MBA education is the traditional one, they tend to focus very much on analytics. Now, granted, analytics is very important. The ability to, look at numbers, work with models, do predictive analytics, forecasting, that's all important. And MBAs are usually pretty good at it, some better than others. But some of the areas they fall short in, are the soft skills, leadership, change management, emotional intelligence, sales, negotiation, presentational speaking, But there's another area that I think that they missed the boat on, and that's when you get into, design, creativity, innovation, ingenuity. And I was thinking about it because I was, revisiting Steve Jobs. Steve Jobs was a rather unusual bird. He was probably a bigger pain in the ass to work with than most people probably admit, but it was because he was so fixated and passionate about, what he was doing. And whether you like him or his methods, it worked to some extent. Is it the ideal way? I don't know. Who's to say? I admire a lot about him, and there's some things I disagree with that I've heard. Again, I didn't know him personally, but what I've seen, there are things to admire and things not to admire. But one thing that doesn't always get mentioned is his idea that you want people that look at things from different perspectives. He was very much into design. He was very much into not only the function but the form. He ended up working with Johnny Ives. Johnny Ives came in, or is it Johnny Ivy? I might be making a mistake there. My apologies. Um, they put on a big emphasis on design. Like Dieter Rams, the guy that was behind a lot of the design work at Braun. You want to foster that. You want to look beyond just the pure function. You want to make a work of art. You want to design it. When he developed the Macintosh, a lot of the work that was being done there, he had seen something at Xerox Research Park and borrowed some ideas, creative borrowing. Um, he had taken courses, whether he was signed up for them or he audited them in college, in calligraphy. So he was very much into fonts. So the look, the feel, the ease of use, the clean design, the lack of, you know, extra buttons when you don't need it. These are things that, most people say, oh, that's not really that important. Yes and no. When it comes to creating and developing things that are unique, different, that are going to make a quantum leap, if you will. And believe me, the iPhone, when it came out, made a quantum leap. It was way different than everything else. It was because he and his team tapped into creativity, imagination, and design. So the point of this video is if you're going and thinking MBA, don't get so focused on the analytics without going and developing the soft skills and developing these design-oriented, creativity-oriented, innovation-oriented perspectives. This is something that has to be developed. Some people have it naturally, but a lot of people can develop it, and you should develop it. I would highly recommend you look into areas that are sort of outside your comfort zone. Look into the idea of, maybe a little mini course on basic design principles. Look at the work of Dieter Rams, again, from Braun. If you're not familiar, dig into it. You're going to, really be surprised. You want to look into, clean looking work, elegant looking work that is going to be different. Granted, it still has to work and still has to do what it needs to do. That's the function. But the form can sometimes take it to a different and newer level. I would also, look at the work of Edward Tufte when it comes to graphics and visualizing data and stuff. I took a course because I was a big fan of his. Clean, simple PowerPoint presentations, for example. He actually hates PowerPoint, but clean presentations that don't crowd things, no fancy bells or whistles, just clean, elegant design, because it's the message that you're trying to get across and the story you're trying to tell, not trying to razzle dazzle people with bullshit. That doesn't mean that you can't have a clean, elegant design, but you don't want it to take away. And that's where Steve Jobs and Apple excelled at that. And I think if you had put a bunch of MBAs in there, and Steve Jobs didn't surround himself with a bunch of MBAs, he surrounded himself with a whole bunch of different people with a whole bunch of different ideas. And if we hadn't had that, I don't know if you'd have the iPhone and you would have had the Macintosh uh, series of computers if that hadn't happened. If it were a bunch of MBAs, you would have gotten IBM. Think about that. That's what you'd have. That's what set them apart. So don't get so tied up with all the business stuff and all the analytics stuff. Make sure that you develop yourself and become well-rounded. I'm not saying become a Renaissance man or woman or be a polymath in all senses and definitions, but make sure that you take into account other things. That creative thinking is super important. Design thinking is important, but go and look at some of that stuff. And if you want to develop it, like I say, look into some basic design courses. Look into um, the architecture of Frank Lloyd Wright, for example. Look at clean stuff. Look at Mies van der Rohe, also architect, famous for saying less is more. I'm not saying everything should be Bauhaus, but clean, elegant design that has form and functioning together. If you're going down that MBA path, do not get so channeled and tunnel visioned into just looking analytics. Get the soft skills and get the design and creativity skills as well. You'll be far and above and way ahead of the crowd if you go and develop these elements and aspects of your thinking. It will set you apart from the regular MBA think. And again, you're not going to find this kind of thing mentioned in, traditional MBA programs at some of these higher educational systems. This is something you have to take upon yourself. And again, you will set yourself apart. If you're interested in this kind of material and you want more, subscribe now, give us a like and a share. I'm glad you're here. I'm George Sloan. Learn it fast, apply it faster, and we'll see you the next time.